everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily, but you can call me Ems. And welcome to another yarny, fun, crafty vlog slash podcast situation. Today I'm coming at you very draped in yarn. Did I just run to wear this hat again? Yes, because I haven't worn it since like September. And it's like one of my favorite hats. It's just ridiculous. So, ran to put it on. I've got my slip extravaganza on, which people are going to have to like pull off of my dead body for me to not wear it anymore. But I'm here today to talk a little bit about what I've been knitting and crocheting and all that fun stuff and sewing and anything that I've done. I'm going to talk to you about it and show you a little bit of my acquisitions. So let's start with finished objects. We have two finished objects to talk about, one of which I feel like everyone's going to be shocked that it's actually finished if you don't follow me on Instagram, in which case you've known about this. So I actually did finish my shirtwaist, my second shirtwaist. This one is in a brown color with this very subtle starburst pattern on it. It's literally quilting cotton, but it's one of my favorite fabrics to work with for shirtwaists because it's very lightweight, it's very affordable, it has a lot of fun patterns and prints, and you can top stitch it to some very beautiful looking seams. So I had brown buttons for it. However, I could not find those brown buttons when I was going to do the buttons on, and that was literally the last thing I had to do. So I was like, you know what, I'll do white buttons, it's fine. So I did all of the buttonholes by hand. The blue that you can see is actually the marking pen that will come off with water. I just haven't put this under water yet, but there's that. I will cut to a little bit of footage of me wearing it from Instagram, which I'll probably have to put over different music because I'm using a song from Mrs. Santa Claus, which is done by Angela Lansbury. So I'll have to dub that over with some new music. And the second finished object this time is a gift knit, which I'm going to show you finally because I finished it this morning and I steam blocked it and everything, and I'm giving it to the person that it's for tonight. So this video will not come out until after they've already received the gift. So this is the Gyllis shawl for Megan. So this is it all rolled up. Look how beautiful. This is the cast off edge. How gorgeous is that cast off edge? And that's doing like knit two together through the back loop, slip the stitch back to the left needle over and over again. How gorgeous is that? So let's show it off. So this is the Gyllis shawl. I think it's stunning. It's beautiful. I love the lace pattern in it that just gives it this beautiful light airy look to it. This is done in Red Heart Comfort in the color Spice. It is an acrylic I had in my stash, and my friend Megan does not wear wool, so I made her this little shawl in a wool-free acrylic. And I thought this would look nice. This color would go really well because this is more of a me color. However, a lot of colors that Megan wears would go beautifully with this, like emerald greens and like goldenrod marigold yellows, mustardy yellows, pinks and things. I think this would go with a lot of what Megan owns. So very excited about this. The shaping is really beautiful. This is an older West Knits pattern, which is why it's so tiny. I much prefer a much larger shawl. So this is kind of like a shawl slash scarf. And Megan's birthday was in October. So I thought that this would be a really good like birthday slash Christmas gift. Because it did take me a few months to finish. But there we go. Oh, straighten out that top bit there. But yeah, this lace pattern was really fun to do. Very simple with the stripes and then the diamonds. I think that it's beautiful. The shaping was lovely. And if you ever wanted to try out one of Stephen West's older patterns, older, more simple, more architectural in design, this is one of the great ones I think to check out. And I think it's very simple. Only takes 2 skeins of a DK weight yarn. I obviously used that like giant ball of worsted, so I didn't even use all of that giant ball. I got some left. So now let's move on to my unfinished objects or my works in progress. So my UFOs and my whips. The first, it's going to be a UFO at this moment because it has been put aside for a bit. And that is the Twists and Turns MCal. This is where we're at right now. I'm still technically in what was week 2. So I've done one side of the cabling. And that orange is Sweet Skein of Mine in Pumpkin Chai. But this is what I have so far. I was just getting, not necessarily bored of this, but just like getting very like, I want to do something else right now. So this was my life for a while, for about all of October. And of course then I got COVID and then I couldn't knit for like a week, but still. So this was like my October. So I needed a bit of a break for November. So that's where I'm at with that. It's currently a UFO, fully off needles. I put scrap yarn on the live stitches. But we will continue with that at another time. I've got it right here in my yarn bucket. It's not like put away. It's just in a bucket with like a basket with its yarn that is needed for it. So I can easily grab it if I want to grab it again. So next thing is the thing I've been actively working on. And it is the Montmartre sweater from Fable Knitwear. So it's really hard to show you because the needles aren't quite long enough. But it's got a folded over collar, which I loved doing. This was my first time doing a folded over collar. So you basically just knit basically double what you'd want, and then you fold it. You do a line of a different stitch. I think it's just like all pearls or whatever. Then you fold it on that line, and then you sew it down. Or what I did was knit 2 together by knitting the active stitch and the stitch from below, and that's how I put it together. So it's still quite stretchy. The shoulder shaping has this beautiful like seam on it, this like 2-stitch seam, and then it becomes this big puff here on the tip of the shoulder that then comes out. So this stitch marker, so this is kind of like, this is going to be the sleeve. Obviously it's still too small, but this is like the sleeve over here, and then we go over to the sleeve over here as well. So stitch marker to stitch marker is the sleeves. This is the front. The back has short row shaping in this upper stripe. I'm probably going to leave this brown stripe solid instead of stitching over it with different colors. I think I'm just going to leave that stripe bigger. We're going to see if I'm going to double duplicate stitch over the shoulder point with this, because I think that this is a little too obvious and will need some duplicate stitching. So I'm going to have to figure out the duplicate stitching with 3 colors. This is where we are right now. We're kind of still really high up. I've got several more rows to go before we split off for the sleeves. because I need to have 100 and something stitches between these two stitch markers on each sleeve, and I currently have about almost 80, so a few more stripes to go. But this is what I've been working on the most. This is with my Briggs & Little that I brought home the other week in my last, I think it was my last podcast, in fact. And moving straight along, trucking on along into our acquisitions. So there was a holiday market. It was the Etsy New Brunswick holiday market for Etsy sellers in New Brunswick, which is a great way for them to get their names out there and sell their goods without having to have the Etsy fees there. So I'm going to show you what I got there for myself because I'm selfish. But some of it's for gift knitting, and by some of it, I mean exactly one of it. Everything else is for me. It's not that much. So I did buy like gifts and stuff, but I don't want to show them off because those people, namely my partner and my mom, either watch this channel or live in the house with me and will hear me say it. So first I got this. It's a Briggs & Little Heritage 2-ply, basically a worsted weight yarn, but this was hand dyed by King Woolen Yarns in Fredericton, New Brunswick. It's got this pretty blue color and this like subdued kind of purple color, and I just think it's really pretty, and I think it will make some nice mittens or something like that as a gift. And then of course it's not going to be any kind of festival or yarn place in Fredericton if I don't get some sweet skein o' mine. So this is the first one I picked up. Like, look how wild and beautiful these colors are. Like, I know my cameras never pick up just how wild these are in person, because these are wild. This is day glow brightness. And this is in the color Chasing Fireflies. This is their Superwash BFL nylon. So 80/20 Superwash, Blue Face, Leicester, and nylon. 400 yards for 100 grams. And I think this is so stinking pretty. And then I got a sock set from Sweet Skein o' Mine. So this sock set has this pretty green. This, again, this is so subdued in the video. I think it's because the video has such cool lighting, and my lighting in my house is very warm. So when you take the warm lighting from my house and then the camera making it cool, it subdues the colors a little bit. But this is a very bright green that is for the like toe, heel, and cuff of your sock. And then this one is a really beautiful speckly, a little bit stripe, a little bit speckle one called Santa's Workshop. And it's got blue, it's got yellow and an orangey tone, it's got this like dark pinky purple, it's got some lighter pinky purple, it's got like some speckles of blue on the purple, it's got the green, and it's just kind of got a little bit of everything, and it's just so pretty and busy. And it just gives me that Santa's Workshop vibe of like all those like toys and stuff. And then the green, I think, just brings out that subtle green in the actual yarn itself. But this one is the 80/20 Superwash Merino nylon, which is a 2-ply, 400 yards, 100 grams. And then the mini is 80/20 Superwash Merino nylon as well, and it's 80 yards, 20 grams. So I don't know where that cut off, but looking at, like, scrubbing through, it looks like I was talking about the makeup of this. So this one again is merino. This one's BFL. And I was talking a little bit about how, like, I've tried BFL and merino separately, but not like had them side by side together, and I can confirm that merino is more squishy and soft feeling than BFL, but BFL feels more smooth and a little stronger, but both are still quite soft, you know? So jumping into my recommendation, it is a channel that I've been watching since like their second video, I think, ever went up. They've been around a long time, and you probably know them because they have like over 200,000 subscribers. They have way more than that. They're like 240 something subscribers, 2,000 subscribers, I think. But it's Doodle Date, Steph and Adam. It's really interesting to see their take on art and their approach to art, especially where Adam is colorblind and Steph has a hand tremor and autism. And I think it's really cool to see the way that they approach their art, or the way that they like to do their art, or what it's like when they try to switch styles or try out different art mediums, and the parts that Steph likes more versus the parts that Adam likes more. And I've been finding it really inspiring and fun just to watch them and try out different art mediums and stuff. And I find that art is can be very unapproachable if you're not used to it, but the way that they approach art feels very accessible, and it's really fun to watch. So I'm going to leave you off there with that recommendation. So I decided to get out my Yarn Swift and to cake up my yarn, not just the ones I showed you today, but also one from Lichen and Lace that's been in my stash that I decided to cake up because I'm more likely to actually use my yarns if they're already caked up. So this is what the one from King Woolens looks like caked up. I think that if it had yellow in it too, it would look like Moon Mist ice cream if you're from Atlantic Canada. If you know, you know. So this is just like the blues and the purples. Looking beautiful. Stride! Next is the one from Lichen and Lace called Seagrass, which you've seen time and time again on my channel. But here it is caked up. These cakes came out really dense this time rather than the more fluffy and wide ones with the fingering weight. So it looks small, but I promise this is a full hank of yarn. It's just very densely woven. Not woven, balled. Next up, we have Chasing Fireflies, which looks beautiful. I'm really happy that it's not super stripy once it was out of the hank. I think it'll do like pools of color, but nothing too stripy, which is what I was looking for. Did a very bad job winding this one too. I put the tags inside the balls so that if I need to later, I can find out what kind this was, but so pretty. And then last but most certainly not least, we have Santa's Workshop, which you can't see as much of the color now that it's wound to like in a ball, whereas previously you could see more of the color. But trust me, the color's in there, but it is more of a speckle. So it's kind of like blue is this kind of like main color, and then everything else is kind of like a speckle or a little bit more of a like color pooling section. So there's that. And then our mini skein of green to go with it. And I do think that this does look really pretty, but I also think this kind of goes with this one. So I'm not sure what I want to do with these. I think this would be better as a plain sock, like a vanilla sock, because it's so busy. So I think that this might be the better option, whereas this is slightly less busy, so I could do something fun with stitch pattern in this. This one I'm thinking of doing a Dustland sock, because Dustland looks really beautiful from West Knits. Dustland looks really beautiful with just one plain color, but I like that this is mostly this silver gray color, and then these pops of this dark kind of reddy pinky color. So I think that this would make a nice Dustland because it's plain enough, but then it has this little bit of variation that would add a little bit of fun there. So I think that's what I'm going to do with this. Unless I go with some of the other like stripy socks and I do stripes of these together, which would be kind of wild, but they do kind of go together in my opinion. Because there's kind of like hints of these colors in this one, But then I feel like this one would be outshone by this. So I'm not sure what I'm doing with it yet, but we will see. Of course, every time I make a pair of socks, I always have some left over. So like for my Like It in Lace socks that I made, I still have this much left. These were wound much less tight, so it looks like I only used half a ball, but this is significantly less. Like you can see it's so much more squishy, whereas this is like super, super dense. I don't know what happened there. I think maybe just my Yarn Swift keeps really good tension with my ball winder. So I thought I'd pop in and tell you about those before ending the video. So I love you, love you, love you lots. Bye everyone. Subscribe.